Hi, this is Phil Shapiro in Tacoma Park. I wanted to share today with you some of my ideas about what comes after TED Talks. So TED Talks are very popular. I love them. Other people love them. You can find them on YouTube. And there's hundreds and hundreds of thousands of very, very interesting TED Talks. I work at a public library and I'm beginning to wonder what comes after TED Talks. There might be something afterwards, and we should talk about that and think about it. And I wanted to share some ideas. Here's some ideas I have. So I saw this TED Talk by a very interesting educator in Pennsylvania, Charlie Reisinger. He's the IT director in the Penn Manor School District in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. And his TED Talk was so interesting, I felt I needed to drive there from Washington, D.C. and have lunch with him and hear the story of how this TED Talk came to life. I wanted to hear the backstory. So Charlie told me some of the backstory. It's kind of interesting. He wrote the script for this TED Talk himself. About 99% he said he wrote himself. And then he practiced it about 20 times at home just to get it all as polished as possible. And then he told me that there was about 100 to 120 people who had proposed talks for the TEDx Lancaster event. And only about 10 or 12 people's talks were accepted. So there was 100 talks that weren't accepted. So I work at a public library. I got really, really interested to find out what those 100 other people had to say. They had something that they were very passionate about, and I feel that I'm really interested to hear what they have to say. So what kind of mechanism can we use to reach those people? Core 2 Duo laptops were from like 2006, 2007. That was the top of the line. But today, they're almost free. You can buy them on eBay for $50 or less sometimes. And they work great for screencasting with Linux. So Linux doesn't require as much horsepower as Windows or Mac. And you could put Linux on a MacBook, a 2007 MacBook. Linux works great for screencasting. And right now I'm making this screencast on a Lenovo ThinkPad T400. I think I paid about $50 to $75 on eBay for this, and it's running Linux Mint 17 XFCE, and I'm using the wonderful software called Simple Screen Recorder, and I'm using a webcam software called Komoso, which is also free, and I have a Logitech webcam. I use an external webcam rather than the internal one on the laptop because it gives me a better kind of control of the angle. I have my webcam on top of my 23-inch monitor connected to the laptop, and it gives me nice control. I guess I could also use a tripod, but I like to place this external webcam on top of the monitor. And so I'm wondering, what if schools, public libraries, community colleges, and job training centers started lending out these Linux laptops so people could do their TED Talks at home? What I'm calling TUX Talks. TUX, in case you don't know, is the mascot for Linux. It's a penguin, so it's the mascot. That's why I'm calling it TUX Talks. So if people did it at home, we could listen to all those 100 people with a passion of a story to tell, and we could listen to another 500. Many more stories could get told, and many more ideas could get shared. Of course, the public libraries or schools, colleges, job training centers, they could teach people how to use the Simple Screen Recorder software. It's not that difficult. Even a 15-minute workshop could be all that somebody needs. If you're totally new to computers, it might take you 30 minutes to get some practice on this, but it's not that tough. And then as soon as somebody gets practice, they can teach their cousin, their friends, their family, their neighbors. The best ideas float to the top, and that's what social media is good at doing. So it's okay if we had 500 TUX Talks from one little town or whatever. It's okay if there's too much communication because the best ones float to the top. Simple Screen Recorder is free and wonderful software. YouTube provides free web hosting. So before YouTube got started in 2005, I used to pay like a monthly fee for hosting videos on the web. I started putting videos on the web in 1994. It's about 10 years before YouTube. So when YouTube came along, I said, this is fabulous, free web hosting. Before that, I used to pay for it. So if the laptop is free and a donated laptop and the operating system Linux is free and Simple Screen Recorder is free, we can have almost an entire removal of barriers to the sharing of ideas. And the web hosting is free. So the best ideas are just waiting to be expressed. We should do whatever we can to help bring them to life. So there's ideas out there just waiting to come to life. I work at a library, and I'm really, really interested to find out what those best ideas are. They're in people's head. We got to get them out of the head, and so that people can talk about them and benefit from. We need to benefit from each other's ideas. Isn't that the truth? We should benefit from each other's ideas. Linux can help remove as many barriers as possible for ideas to be expressed, because Linux removes so many cost barriers, and Linux runs great on older computers. So Linux might be one of the key tools of moving from TED Talks to TUX Talks. You can follow me on Twitter. I'm at Phil Shapiro. Send me an email, pshapiro@his.com. And I'm hoping this screencast can get you to think about what comes after TED Talks. Maybe it's TUX Talks. Maybe it's something else. But you should go and talk to your public librarian, talk to your best friend, talk to your school librarian, and let's try and figure out what comes after TED Talks. Because TED is very, very wonderful. But there's something that comes after TED. I do believe there is something that comes after TED, and we should try and figure it out collectively. And I'm trying to do my little bit. This is Phil Shapiro.